In this video, I'm going to walk you through every button, setting, and feature of the new Osmo Action 4. On this channel, I share all the latest action camera news, reviews, and how-tos, so make sure to like and subscribe to learn how to get the most out of your Osmo Action 4. Now let's get started. I'll start by going over the physical features of the camera. On the front, we have two microphones, one right here on the left side of the A, and another one right here on the left side of the 4. And if you look right there in the O in Action, that is a color temperature photo sensor. We have the front touchscreen. The lens cover is removable, so you can replace it if necessary. You can, I don't know if you can see there, but I've already kind of dropped it and put a little scratch in the lens and a dent in the outside protective cover. So it's always good to have a few extra. On the top, we have the shutter button. And right over here is a speaker. Here on the side we have the power button / quick switch button. And right here is the door. You pull down and flip up, and that is to give you access to the Type-C port. And this little door here is removable. All you have to do is gently pull. It comes right off. Now if you want to put it back on, just repeat the process. Push it back in there like that. Close it up and you are good to go. Right here, this is the access door for the battery and the SD card. Push up, flip it out, and we have the removable battery. And right there we have the SD card. Kind of push in, remove that, put it back in, close the door back up. DJI calls this the Osmo Action Extreme battery because it can operate in cold and hot temperatures. You can use it at 4 degrees Fahrenheit all the way up to 113 degrees Fahrenheit, and you are supposed to get about 160 minutes of life out of the battery. Here on the bottom we have the windproof mic right here, and these are the quick release slots for the magnetic quick release system. The accessories you get depend on the combo package you buy. I bought the standard combo, so it comes with the quick release adapter mount, and this is magnetic. And you also get the curved adhesive base with the locking screw. The system is magnetic and really secure. You are good to go. So once you have it mounted into the base, say for example you have it attached to, I don't know, your bike helmet, and you want to quickly take it off, you just push it on the clips, comes right off, and it is on there really tight with the magnets. This is the horizontal / vertical protective case. All you do is slide the camera back into it, and push the clip down. It is now securely in there, and so you have access to the bottom, so you can connect, you know, the base adapter at the bottom. But now you have that same magnetic system along the side, so you can connect it vertically, like so. Let's say this is attached to your helmet and you just got done shooting your vertical content for your shorts and you want to go back to shooting horizontal. You just quickly remove it, click it back on again, it's secure, and you are ready to go. This is the lens hood. If you have the lens cover removed, you can screw on this lens hood. But it brings out in the instructions that when this is on, your camera is not waterproof, so you wouldn't have it like this and take it into the pool or to the beach. Okay, I'll turn it on and we'll take a look at the front screen. So here on the front screen, we have an LED indicator light. If you swipe up on the front screen, it opens it up and you can access all the features. We're going to go through that a little bit later in the video. Flip it over to the rear touchscreen and we have another LED indicator light right here. When the LED is green, that means the camera is ready to go. The LED temporarily turns off if you take a photo. It blinks green when it is charging and the power is off. It blinks red and green during a firmware update. It blinks red slowly when it's recording. The indicator light turns off if there's no SD card. You see the light turn back on once the SD card is reinstalled. And it blinks rapidly 3 times when you turn the camera off. To start recording or to take a photo, you push the shutter button. Push it again to stop recording. If the camera is off and you want to quickly start recording, you would press and hold the shutter button and it clicks on and automatically starts recording. That's called Snapshot. Press the shutter button again. It stops recording and turns the camera off. To turn the camera on, you push the on/off/quick mode button. Now that the camera is on, if you push the quick switch button, it changes modes. The rear screen is a touch screen. To access an item, you can tap the screen. If you swipe down, that gets you to your menu settings. If you swipe up, that takes you to your resolution and frame rate. If you swipe from left to right, that gives you access to your modes. Okay, now for the screen icons, these will vary a little bit depending on what mode you're in, but basically it stays about the same. Right here, this gives you how much record time is left on the SD card. Here is the battery icon. If you tap it, it will tell you the percentage of battery life left. To access your photo and video parameters, you tap here. This is where you would adjust your exposure, your audio. We're going to go over all those settings later. Tap and hold is your digital zoom. Tap to get to your resolution, frame rate, stability. If you want to change your modes, you can tap here in the bottom left corner. So we got photo, video, slow-mo, time-lapse. To view your photos and videos, tap the playback button. If you like the photo or video, you can favorite it here. If you tap the 3 dots on the left, you can also favorite it or delete it. Up here where there's that eye, you can get additional information about the photo, the date, the time, the file size. If you double tap, you can zoom in and move around on the image. Double tap to zoom back out. You can enter the grid view and tap over here and you can select multiple photos. You can favorite them. If we swipe down, that gets us to the menu mode, and I'm going to cover all of these. First is the custom settings mode here. You can say specific video and photo settings based on your preference, and I'll go through that later on when we get to the video settings. Here is our quick switch modes. Quick switch allows you to quickly move between different photo and video modes. Right now the voice prompt is on, so when you switch between the modes, it will give you an audio cue of which one you're in. We'll show you that here. So I hit the quick switch. You can select which modes you want to switch between. We have photo, video, slow motion, time lapse, hyperlapse, playback. Next we have the screen brightness. Typically if you're outside on a bright sunny day, you want to have it as high as possible, but that's going to use up battery, so you can lower it down. Here's where you go to access all of your settings, and I will go through all of these a little bit later on in the video. This is the orientation lock. I'll lock the orientation to horizontal. So I rotate the camera, the icons and everything else stays the same. I'll go in here and unlock the orientation, and then I'm going to flip the camera vertical so you see all the icons adjusted for if you're shooting vertical video. Swipe down, lock the orientation. Now if you go horizontal, it's still locked into the vertical. This is the screen lock, so that way you don't have to accidentally hit a settings when you're out there using the camera, and if you want to unlock the screen, you swipe up. And this is the voice control. I will go through the voice control settings later on in the video. You tap here to enable or disable full screen display on the front screen. I want to show you the full front screen on and the full front screen off. So we'll tap it. The full front screen is now off, and you look back at the front screen and you'll see these black bars. So the image is cropped in. Let's go back and tap it. Full front screen on, and we'll check it again. And now there is no black bars and the image has not been cropped down in the front screen. Let's go to settings, and our first setting is snapshot. And snapshot is where when the camera is off and you press the shutter button, it'll automatically start recording. Right now it's to last setting, so whatever mode and settings you were at when the camera is turned off, that is what it would automatically turn on to. That's typically where I leave mine at. You can select video, select hyperlapse. Here we have single screen preview, screen off when locked. When single screen preview is off, the rear screen is on and the front screen is on. We tap it and turn it on, so now the rear screen is on, the front screen is off, and to turn it on you have to tap and swipe up. So now the front screen is on, go to the rear screen, and now that is dark. We have voice control. Tap there to turn it on. Tap here to see the available commands. Start recording. Stop recording. Shut down. So that works pretty well. If you want to turn voice control on or off, you can access it here through the quick menu. This is the OGT connection. Use the OTG connection to connect the camera to an Android device so you can transfer files quickly from the camera to your Android device. Wireless connection, you tap there to check all your wireless information and to reset your Wi-Fi connection if you're having connectivity issues. Video compression, tap to switch the video encoding format between efficiency and compatibility modes. If efficiency is selected, videos will be encoded in HEVC with a smaller file size. If compatibility is selected, videos will be encoded in H.264 with higher compatibility. The sounds, you can set the level of the tones. So you have high, medium, low, or mute. Okay, you tap grid if you want to have the grid lines on your screen. So you tap, that's going to give you the traditional grid lines, the horizontal and vertical. You can get grid and diagonal. Okay, tap time code. Example of when you would use time code is when you're shooting with multiple cameras and you want them to be synced up to make it easier to do the edit. Naming management allows you to edit the naming rules for storage files and folders. Screen off when recording. This setting can save your battery. If the camera is attached to your helmet, for example, and you can't see what's on the screen anyways, set it to 3 seconds. You push record, and after 3 seconds, the screen goes dark. Auto power off, another battery saving feature. Let's say you're recording and you forget to turn off the camera. If it sits there idle for a certain amount of time, it will automatically turn off. I typically leave mine around 5 minutes. The camera has 2 LED status lights, one over here on the back and one on the front, and you can turn those status lights on and off. I typically leave mine on, so that's another cue that it's recording and is working properly for me. You have horizon calibration. If your horizon is off when recording, you can go in and recalibrate. Continue last live stream. Continue last live stream. When this is enabled, the camera will continue the last live stream after it was stopped, and you need to use the camera in companion with the DJI Mimo app to do live streaming. Bluetooth remote controller. That's a new accessory that just released that uses a Bluetooth remote control in conjunction with the camera. I do not have that. Language. You can select the language you use here. We have multiple. Set the date and time. Here's where you would format your SD card if necessary. Remember, if you do that, you're going to lose everything that's on there. Factory reset. So for some reason the camera isn't acting right and you want to get it back to the factory reset, you just click that. Here's your device info. Compliance information is this legal mumbo jumbo. So that is all of the settings. If you're interested in learning even more about the Osmo Action 4, there's a product link in the description. Let's get into the modes. We'll start with photo mode. If you tap at the bottom of the screen, you can select your aspect ratio. Countdown is the time between when you press the shutter button and the camera actually takes the photo. So you can set that to all the way up to 10 seconds. You press and hold to bring up the digital zoom. And with photo, you can go all the way up to 4 times digital zoom. Tap for the shooting parameters. In basic mode, the only thing you get to adjust is the field of view. And you can select between standard, which is a 14mm equivalent, and wide. Now, if you tap this Pro icon, it opens up more options. Now you can adjust the exposure. You can set it to auto. When it is set to auto, you can adjust the ISO. Right now, it will go from 100 to a max of 400, but you can change that all the way up to 12,800. And you can also adjust the exposure value. Or you can go to manual, and in manual you can control your shutter speed and your ISO. You can adjust the white balance. I typically just leave mine on auto, but you can go to manual. You can change your field of view. And for the format of your photos, you can select between just a JPEG or a JPEG plus RAW file. Now we'll go to video mode. So in video, tap at the bottom. That brings up the resolution. You can shoot in 4K 16:9, 4K 4:3, go all the way down to 2.7K 1080p. Depending on what you want to record in. You can select your frames per second all the way up to 120. Up here in the top right corner, is where you can select your stabilization. Right now it's on off, but we can go to rock steady plus, horizon balancing. Your stabilization options vary depending on the resolution that you choose to record in. So if we drop it down to 2.7K and we go back into stabilization, we see there is another stabilization option, and that is the horizon steady. With horizon steady, you can completely rotate the camera and the horizon will stay level. Horizon balancing, you can tilt the camera up to 45 degrees and the horizon will stay straight. If you turn the electronic image stabilization off and record in a wide angle field of view, the camera will store the gyro data based on these settings, and then you can use an outside software to stabilize the footage if you would like. And over here is loop recording, and you can set the duration of max 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour. And basically how loop recording works, camera is always on and recording, but it's only saving 5 minutes of video. So this is good if you're trying to do a trick shot, for example. So you have the camera on, running and recording, and you're trying to get your trick shot. Once you finally make that shot, you can go over, turn off the camera, and you have your shot, as opposed to just leaving it running and you have 2 hours of you trying to get this shot and only needing the last minute or so. Press and hold for the digital zoom. Go here to parameters, and this is basic mode. In basic mode, you can adjust the field of view, standard, wide, ultra wide. Here with the EIS priority and low light, turn that on. When enabled, the electronic image stabilization priority and low light will remove motion blur and disable the anti-flicker function. Low light image enhancement, when that's enabled, the camera will detect you're in a low light environment and will automatically reduce the noise in the image. Image adjustment customized. Here you can adjust the sharpness and reduce noise in the image. Oftentimes digital action cameras can be too sharp, so you can go in here and reduce the sharpness, adjust for noise. Okay, you tap Pro, and this gets us into our exposure settings. And you can adjust those. Our white balance. A color profile, it's right now set to color normal, but you can move it to D-Log-M. Recording in D-Log-M 10-bit allows the camera to record in a larger dynamic range, giving you more flexibility to adjust the color grading in post-production. Adjust the field of view. If you set your camera to 2.7K, 30 frames per second, you'll see here we have a few more field of view options. Now there is the standard, but now we have narrow, and that's a focal length equivalent of 24 millimeters. So that is available if you adjust your resolution. Our image enhancement and low light. If you select audio, you can choose between stereo and mono, and wind noise reduction. Okay, we'll go on to slow motion. Tap to set our slow motion parameters. At 1080p, you can go all the way up to 240 frames per second. If you wanted to record in 2.7K or 4K, you can only go up to 120. The shooting parameters are all basically the same. You can set your exposure, your white balance, your field of view, but there is no low light adjustment. Okay, next we have Timelapse, and you tap at the bottom and you can select between a hyperlapse, and a time lapse. So a hyperlapse is a time lapse, but you're moving, and you can set the rate of the time lapse. I generally just leave it at auto, but you can go in here and adjust that how you want. And then you can go here to time lapse. With time lapse, you're keeping the camera stationary and have some presets in here to help you out. So if you are recording the movement of clouds in the sky, it sets it for 10 minutes, and to take a shot every half a second. If you're recording clouds, and it sets it for 10 minutes every 2 seconds. Or you can go in there and customize it how you want. So you swipe up, and now you can set your interval, you can set your duration based on your particular needs. And this little moon here is for low light. I'll walk through how to set a custom mode. Let's say you want to have a mode for when you're doing dirt bike content. So you go in here and you want to do 4K 16:9, but you know there's sometimes you want to be able to slow down the footage for a cool effect, so you want it at 60 frames per second. And then you're going to want some stabilization, and you want to make sure your horizon's level. So you go ahead and set it to horizon balancing. And you go and you want to go into the pro mode, and you're going to go ahead and leave your exposure to auto, but you're experimenting with, you know, color grading your footage, so you go ahead and leave it in D-Log M. And you are all set with the audio. So now you have that all set. And then what you do is swipe down, go to custom mode. And so everything that you just inputted is there. So 4K 16:9, horizon balancing, auto white balance, the D-Log M, select confirm, and now that custom mode is saved. If we tap the quick switch button, we can go between modes. Tap up here in the upper, tap in the upper right hand corner there. We can change our quick switch modes again. And you can change, you see our custom mode is saved there. That's all the camera settings and modes, but we're not done yet. You also need to be familiar with the DJI Mimo app. You need the app to stay current with the firmware updates at a minimum. The camera should connect automatically, but you can also tap the device icon to connect to the app. In the Academy page, you'll find camera guides and tutorials. With the AI editor, you can quickly turn several video clips into short videos. Let's try it out. I'm just going to pick the top 6 videos that are saved in the downloads and see what it creates. Music is playing right now, but it's muted. I want to avoid any potential copyright claim issues, but the video is cutting to the music. That actually wasn't too bad. If you don't want an AI creating your videos, you can also select a template and create your own. You can also connect to your camera using the app. All the modes and settings we just went through can all be accessed in there. To see how the Osmo Action 4 stacks up against its rival, the GoPro Hero, check out this video.